all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set.
Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle once again. It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk on a Friday afternoon. Clemson Tom joins us in hour number 1 out of the gates. Tommy Bowden coming up in hour number 2. It's a big Friday afternoon as the Clemson Tigers take on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons tomorrow at noon. High noon in Death Valley. And Clemson Tom joins the program. Tom, I know a couple of losses in the league, losing to NC State in overtime, losing to Pittsburgh not all that long ago. Everybody thought, well, Clemson's out of the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship. Not quite, but they would be if they lose to Wake Forest on Saturday.
Not so fast, my friend. We're still in it, baby. Still in it, man. Who would have thought we'd have been in this predicament, but I think Dabo said it best when our injured list is basically a starting lineup at most colleges. So, I mean, everybody and their brothers catching injuries left and right, man. Ross
I pulled
for the remaining of the year. It's just like, good Lord.
I pulled a hamstring just as we went on the air. I mean, man.
You too, man. It's going around. I think I stubbed my toe. I don't know if I can walk around anymore. Might have turf toes, what the kids call it. I don't know.
So, Tom, what's interesting about this to me at this point is that the team who kind of has Clemson's back up against the wall and in this predicament is not Florida State, is not NC State, it's not Miami. I mean, it's Wake Forest. Now, the Demon Deacons under Dave Clawson have done a tremendous job against pretty much all competition except for the Clemson Tigers through the years. And this would be a huge opportunity for them, no doubt. But Clemson's got a 33-game winning streak at home to protect. And they just put out a video last night showcasing just what's coming into. I think it was James Skalski who kind of narrated this video last night on Thursday night that said something along the lines of, you want what we've got? Come take it.
Come get it. I loved it. I tweeted out, I just punted a kitten. I'm talking. I got jacked up when I saw that because Skalski, you know what I'm saying? The last home game, he's the heart and soul of that defense right now. And like I tweeted at him and like, hey man, thanks for the 6 years. Thanks for everything. Last home game, make it count. We can beat them. It's gonna be tough, but we can beat them. But I just can't wait. I'm gonna actually have to miss the game. Xavier's got a golf tournament, but I'm going to record it and just watch when I get home. I can't wait, bro. I really hope we show up, we show out, and I know we're not going to blow them out. Let's just call it what it is. But I just want to win, and I'm thinking like 2010, 2011. I can't remember the exact year. I think it was 2011, where Catman kicked the field goal to beat Wake Forest to clinch the division. I think it was 2011. I'll take that game. I thought it was 2011. I'll take that game. I think Catman was like a freshman that year. We're looking. It's the same predicament, same everything. So we could. I mean, we still need some help, but that's what the season kind of feels like. Let's come down. Let's kick a field goal. Have Potter put it up there. He's good for about 80 yards.
Tom, when you think about it, you mentioned you don't think Clemson will blow Wake Forest out in this game. My question to you would be this: how many points does this Clemson Tiger defense have to limit the Demon Deacons to? I mean, they score huge numbers. I don't think they've scored less than 35 points in a ball game this season, but it's a Clemson Tiger defense that gives up just 13.6 points per game. So I mean, what gives? How many points can Clemson afford to give up before you say to me, Swanee, Clemson's in trouble?
Well, how good is Wake Forest's defense? Like legit. Don't give me those stats about and they played Duke or anything. Like legit, how good are they?
Well, they gave up 56 points to Army, so
okay. So it's doable. We can beat them. Now, I would say 14-21. We can't give up more than 3. If we do that, we're going to have to create some things with the offense. And I know we love to do the wide receiver screen. We play it off of a run. For people that don't understand the wide receiver screen, it's basically a read play. If the box is stacked, then you do the wide receiver screen to the outside to create some space. If there's not that many guys in the box, then it's a run play. So everything's speed up. You're basically running two to three plays off that, whatever the defense is showing you. And that's what the defense technically has been showing us, but we've got to do something a little bit different than that. And our defense has to be lights out. The receiving core has been catching passes all year. We're gonna need to bring our A game, buddy. Definitely.
Wake Forest gave up 42 points last Saturday to NC State, 58 in a loss to North Carolina, 56 to Army, 37 to Syracuse, 34 to Louisville. Now they've had some other teams that they've shut down. They held Florida State to 14, Duke to 7, Wake Forest to 17. But yeah, they've given up a lot of points. So with that on the table, Tom, if Clemson were to win, which, again, I don't think anybody's denying is a possibility given the fact that the Tigers are the 6-time Atlantic Coast Conference champions. They are also still have better players across the board, even injured, than you would believe Wake Forest, right? Better Jimmys and Joes. But what will the 100%. Letdown be for you as a fan, because you're the voice of the people here on this program, if you win this Saturday – but then next week, Wake Forest beats Boston College, and they're in the ACC championship game anyway, or North Carolina State doesn't pick up that second loss that they need over the next couple of weeks. I mean, how big of how deflated will your balloon be, so to speak, at that point?
Man, just win and just let the cards go where they go. We'll let the cards go where they fall, whatever the saying is. I'm sorry, I'm getting really jacked up about this game just talking about it. We just need to win, Swanee. I know we got to rely on some other things, and that just is what it is. But go out there, win, play your game, and don't leave anything on the table. If you lose, then you're definitely out.
Right.
At least give yourself a fighting chance. Go out there, put somebody on their butts. It's to the point where I wish we just had a little bit more heart out there. I'm talking overcooking my grits, and I love grits, and you throw some cheese on them, and they're even better, but they're starting to overcook my grits if we get punched in the mouth too much, we kind of just back off a little bit. We're giving up on the plays. We don't like the block. That's the stuff I'm tired of, to be honest with you. We just need to go out there and win and just play decent football. Yeah, we're not gonna run the ball, for a lot of yardage if the receivers aren't gonna block. We're not gonna catch the ball if you're stop running the route. It's stuff like that. And it's frustrating from that aspect, but we need to go out there and just flat out just win. Like, I wish I gave a pregame speech again. We need to go out there and just play angry, to be honest with you. Like, we legitimately have nothing to lose. If we win, we still have other people to help us out. If we lose, we're out. What if you just go out there and just play with no regrets? Just go out there and play with pure emotion, me versus you, us versus the world, and just almost like we always talk about wrestling on the show. What if we went out there just like Mankind out there, like Mick Foley, man? He put on a show. He didn't care if he broke his neck as long as the ratings were good. What if we just go out there, lay out for a ball? Like last week, DJ throws it. If the guy would have laid out, his hands would have at least touched the ball, but we're giving up on that. I mean, God forbid you get your jersey dirty. Honestly, in my opinion, we need a gut check time. It's like Creed 2 when he's falling down in the desert and Rocky looks up in the rearview mirror and says, "Get up, kid." That's what we need. We need to just win the game. We need to remember who we are. We need to just come out swinging. I'll be happy if we just come out swinging.
Clemson Tom with us on a Friday afternoon. He's on Twitter at Clemson Tom. Make sure you go follow him right now. Okay, CT. So fast forward just a little bit. Next Friday will be a big show. You'll be with us, I'm sure. Clemson and South Carolina. No matter what happens with this Wake Forest game, there's a big matchup looming, especially given the fact that the Gamecocks, if they lose this Saturday, will still be fighting for bowl eligibility as they have 5 wins currently. Who knows? Maybe they beat Auburn this weekend and they're already bowl eligible when the Tigers roll in. But what are your kind of early thoughts on next week? Because it's a short week for us with the radio. You know, we'll go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Friday next week. So just give me your thoughts on the Clemson South Carolina matchup.
It's a must win for us. We're having somewhat of a down year, injuries, different things like that. I mean, it just is what it is. Love the boys to death, but I mean, we're having kind of a down year. That's, it's not breaking news.
Yeah.
If we lose to the Gamecocks and they get bowl eligible, because they're not going to beat Auburn, if they become bowl eligible, that's like the tip of the iceberg for those guys. We beat you and we became bowl eligible. They're having kind of their ticket's kind of going a little up. We're kind of waiting in the waters. Kind of what are we going to do? I think we're going to beat them, but I know it's a night game. And I hate night games in Columbia because the student body just becomes just a different entity. They're throwing stuff at the players as always. I mean, I don't like them. The players don't bother me because they're just players.
Maybe they think Clemson's players aren't hydrated. Maybe that's why they throw water bottles.
Or they could just be classless students. Like, let's be honest. They are, God, there's no worse fan base than college football. No one likes them. They're just angry little people, and no one likes the Gamecocks. And you're trying to get me fired up. I see what you're doing, Swanee, because I don't like the Gamecocks. I don't like them at all. And we've got to beat them next week. I cannot listen to them chirp and crow because when we beat them, it's like, yeah, we beat them because we're supposed to.
Yeah.
When they beat us, it's like they won the lottery, and you have to hear about it all year long. I could tweet out, "Good morning, everyone. Hope you have a great day." Hey, we beat you. Well, no tweet the score. And I'm like, ain't nobody even coming at you. No one's even coming at you. And see, I hate them for personal reasons because they tried to frame me for painting the cockabooses. Then they tried to frame me for painting on their field. Meanwhile, they're not going to talk about this. When they confronted me about the Tiger Paw being on the field when I was staying in Columbia, I told them, why don't you check your security tapes? You know what they found? A fraternity at South Carolina did it, tried to blame me. You know what they did to the fraternity guys? Nothing.
What?
Nothing. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to them. They tried to frame me for painting on the field, saying it was me. And I told them to check the security tape because I know I didn't do it because I'm not going to go do something like that. Then nothing happened to them. They just painted over the field. And, all the coaches tweeted, I can't believe some Tiger fan did this. And it's stuff like that really makes me hate that fan base. And then the death threats for me and your favorite golfer got some there for a little bit.
What?
That's the type of fan. Yeah. Oh, man, back in the day. Yes, sir. Are you kidding me? Oh, I'm not even joking. But it's that kind of behavior that makes me loathe the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I hope they never beat us again. I don't even want to lose to them in checkers. Paper, rock, scissors, I hope we beat them every single time. That's why I don't like the fans. And they're just pitiful, Swanee. I just don't like them.
Tom, I will say, I remember the painting that you were accused of doing, and I never will forget what I wrote. No self-respecting Tiger fan would have painted that hatchet job of a Tiger Paw.
No, exactly. It was a horrible Tiger. Like, if you're going to do it big. I'm trying to think, what else did they do? I remember one time when the billboard thing kind of got out of hand because I tweeted out I'm going to put a billboard next to, on campus and put Clemson on it. And then people donated to the billboard and as a joke. And I was like, holy crap, I guess we're going to do it. And then they just went, oh, Clemson Tom's a horrible person. He's trying to do a billboard when it just started as a joke. Every time I turn around, they're trying to hurt something. But that's all they have, Swanee. That's all they have. And it's sad.
Clemson Tom hanging out with us here on a Friday afternoon. Listen, Tom, I don't
like them.
There's a lot still left in this college football season. There are 10 teams. Excuse me. I did this yesterday when I was talking about it. In the top 10, there are 8 teams that are 9-1. There are 2 teams that are 10-0. You've got Michigan State and Ohio State playing this weekend. You've got Cincinnati kind of sitting there hoping. You've got the team that's kind of their marquee game or marquee victory being Notre Dame, who's may still be in it with a couple of winnable games remaining. I mean, it is as crowded at the top as I ever remember it being in the college football playoff. Tom, if you had to project right now, and don't forget, we still got Georgia and Alabama in potentially in the SEC championship game if that ends up materializing. I mean, who are the 4 teams in your opinion at this point? And here's another thing. Oklahoma State could win out and potentially be in. Oregon could win out and potentially be in. Ohio State, Michigan State. I mean, Tom, I thought all offseason I talked Clemson, Oklahoma, I talked Alabama, and Ohio State.
Yeah,
but right now we got 10 teams that are legitimately still in the mix, maybe more. It's wild.
Yeah, but you got to remember that. Okay, Ohio State and Michigan State are going to play. That eliminates that. Then you got Ohio State and Michigan. They still have to play. So then you have that. You've got Alabama and Georgia, who it looks like they're gonna play. Auburn could still beat Alabama. There's a lot that still has to play out. I mean, you're looking at 3 weeks, the third week including the conference championship.
Yeah, if you had to give me your gut, who are the 4 teams that make it? Just I know there's a lot left to be done. Who do you think who survives? Like if this is you talked wrestling earlier. If this is the what was the one called the Royal Rumble?
Royal Rumble.
Yeah, we don't know who's going to be drawn 30th, right? But who wins the Royal Rumble?
Definitely, we're going Georgia. I think Michigan gets in there. I think they beat Ohio State. Cincy's going to sneak in, and I don't know who the 4th is going to be. Man, that's where it's
could be anybody.
That's the thing. It could be. It's a revolving door. They cannot deny Cincinnati if they stay undefeated. There's just no way. But see, a lot of the teams at the top have to play. A lot still has to play out.
Well, if Michigan State wins, if Michigan State wins this weekend over Ohio State, they have Penn State left, and that's it. And then, well, of course, in the conference championship game, if they beat Penn State, but there's a legit chance that Michigan State
they could. And but see, here's the thing. I think Michigan gets in there. I don't know what it is. I think Ohio State beats Michigan State, and then I think Michigan beats Ohio State.
Wow.
But then again. Yeah, but I don't like Ohio State. I mean, I don't know if I'd pick the Gamecocks over them.
Can I ask you one other thing real quick? I know you're not going to like this.
Oh, gosh.
If Georgia wins a close one, okay, over Alabama, and it's their second loss, what if give me the percentage chance that Alabama in a close loss to Georgia stays in and Cincinnati has to sit on the outside?
Oh my gosh! I mean,
is it 25?
Zero. There's no way they're going to put a 2-loss Alabama team in there. It's just not going to happen. Now, all the SEC people are going to be like, "Oh, that just goes to show you the SEC." The SEC nonsense has gone on far too long. We need to really sit down and look at it, and look at Alabama isn't what they typically are. They barely beat Florida, who got blown out by the Gamecocks. They barely beat Florida, who let Stanford pretty much run the table on them, almost get embarrassed.
Yeah.
So it's not – and it was, SEC. Honestly, right now, the SEC is not very good. You're living off your granddad's inheritance money. And the inheritance money is starting to dwindle down because of inflation. Everyone's going everywhere else. The transfer portal, people want to play. The coaches aren't exactly as good as they used to be. The SEC is starting to go downhill minus your ones and your twos. But that if you want to go back to it, that's what it's always been. It's always been 1 and 2 teams. It's always been Alabama and occasionally I call it a substitute team. This year it's just Georgia. That's what it is. Sometimes it's LSU, sometimes it's Florida, and this year it's just Georgia.
Tom, buddy, always appreciate you, man. Look forward to catching up with you next week as we get set to see the Tigers and the Gamecocks and Billy Bryce.
Go Tigers. I can't wait.
All right, Tom, we'll talk to you soon, my man. Take care. There he is, Clemson Tom. All right, we'll come back. We've been talking a lot about Clemson and Wake Forest. We'll continue our preview of that matchup right here on The People Show, the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. Check out their website. Put the .com on it. Doggone it. ClemsonSportsTalk.com.
It's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword dollar to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's dollar to 200-200. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on Two Notch at Sparkleberry, also a tie-up Leesburg Road at Hilo Street. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by eBay. Shop on eBay to get more for your dough on stand mixers. Or get more for your buck on tech and gaming gear. Get more and save more on premium brands with eBay's exclusive deals.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
When a physician you trust moves on, it's deflating. When that physician returns, it's worth celebrating. Welcome home, Dr. Paul Espinoza of Espinoza Vein Institute. Yes, Dr. Espinoza is back in Lexington, caring for patients, former and new. As a trusted, respected, certified vein specialist, he offers personalized, compassionate treatment in a private practice that feels like home. Espinoza Vein Institute. Healthy legs, a step away.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, I go to work, getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
We first opened about 10 years ago. We were small, just a few of us, but it was exciting. I always dreamt of having my own business. It was kind of slow at first, but things started picking up. We had big plans, but in our wildest dreams, we never thought we'd have this much work. Yeah, with so many businesses caught off guard by the storm, Reed Waste Management has never been busier.
What will become of your business after a disaster? Nearly 2/3 of businesses aren't prepared for an emergency, and 40% of businesses that experience a disaster never recover. Make an emergency plan now before it's too late. For a free online tool that helps you develop an emergency plan to keep your business up and running should disaster strike, visit ready.gov/business. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the American Red Cross, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
It is the show that shakes the Southland on a Friday afternoon. Again, getting the simulation up and rolling. Make sure you tune in to keep your eyeballs on that one. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. Coming up in hour number 2, we'll be joined by former Clemson Tiger head coach Tommy Bowden. If you didn't know, he's here every week. We used to start the show with him in hour 1. We've now backed him up to hour 2 after hooking up with Clemson Tom. Out of the gates. And I think, one of the things that we'll certainly talk with Coach Bowden about, and I think it is unique. I mean, this is a top 10 Wake Forest team This is a Wake Forest team that is 8-1 on the season. 9-1, excuse me. I don't know where that came from. 9-1 on the season. But they are underdogs. And what's incredible, I think more than anything, is that they are underdogs against a Clemson team that has been so lackluster offensively. It's mind-blowing to me. Not that it's mind-blowing to me, not that Clemson could be favored in this ball game, that they could be favored by 4.5, but that Clemson is favored given how they have looked the majority of the season. Like, it'd be one thing if this Clemson team had just looked electric and somehow had 3 losses. They have not. And so, like, there's this part of me, because you've watched enough games, right, in the history of sports, and I don't know how the guys in Vegas do what they do. But folks, it's impressive. It's impressive because the guys in Vegas nail it more often than not. And if you don't believe me, you don't even have to gamble. But just go and pick games against the spread and try to win consistently against the spread. It's so difficult to do. And, even more so is how often they are close. Like how that Clemson Florida State game, that bad beat, but even still, to just trust that somehow Clemson is going to win this game by 4.5 points I can't say maddening, but it's shocking. And I think I've almost been shocked 2 or 3 times this season when Clemson comes out as favored, because they have had so few what you would call positive drives, just drives that felt normal. And that, I think, is probably the biggest shock of this whole season. I mean, no matter what happens on Saturday, and certainly not being in the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship game or being eliminated at that point for Clemson would be shocking. But to know how good this team has been for so long, and yet here they sit favored, even though they have played poorly all year. And it's not like you're favored over a 4-win team or a team that isn't well thought of. This is a top 10 Wake Forest team. And Clemson's favored, but yet in the College Football Playoff Committee's mind, Clemson is not even a top 25 team. Now, look, if the Tigers win this weekend over Wake, they probably vault into the polls. And I'm not thinking like some fringe 25er. I'm thinking they probably bump up to about 18th. I mean, I'll be honest. I think if you win this game this Saturday, and especially if you win it looking well, if you do good and you win this game, I'm not saying that everything that you've done is gone in the mind's eye of the people on the committee, but it wouldn't shock me to see this Clemson team jump up into like 18th. And I know some of you say, what? How is that possible? Well, first off, I think they have been undersold about their talent, not by how they perform, but just their talent, how good they really could be. Secondly, I think the fact that at that point they'll be an 8-3 team, you have to at least go, well, we can be critical of how they've looked, but they've won. And that's something that you can't just dismiss that, right? Clemson has won those ball games, whether it's by 1 or 100. I always said, I've said for years, I don't care. If Clemson's got to win the rest of their games for eternity by a point, you know what that means? You're undefeated for the rest of your life, and you're hoisting every national championship. You go, man, but I'd be a nervous wreck every week. Yeah, you'd also be a nervous wreck trying to figure out where you're going to put all that hardware, because winning by 1 is no different than winning by 100. Outside of the fact that the fans can relax. But if you win every game that you play for an entire season, even if you just say for a year, if you won 15 games by a point, you are the undefeated, undisputed national champion. And so Clemson, I think, is going to get a boatload of respect that's sort of being harbored off of them currently. It's just sort of kept away from them. But if they win and look good this Saturday against Wake Forest, a top 10 team, I think Clemson's going to jump way up. I mean, I really do. At that point, their record's 8. Like I said, their record at that point is 8-3 with a game remaining against South Carolina, a chance still to get into the ACC championship game. The possibility still on the docket of a 10-win season. And who knows? I mean, I think selfishly, I want to see Clemson win this game simply for the fact that I want to have next weekend be a weekend where I can kind of sit on the sidelines and go, all right, can Clemson make it into the ACC championship game? Can they slide in a little backdoor cover, if you will, into the ACC championship? Like, that's what I'm rooting for. I just honestly hope that is the case. Wouldn't it be fun to have this whole season kind of be as wild and crazy as it has been, all come to fruition with Clemson finding their way back into an ACC championship game and then a chance to win a 7th consecutive conference title? I mean, that would be nuts. And it's still incredibly on the table. With a quick break, when we come back, we'll take a look at some of the predictors for the upcoming matchups that are of significance for the Tigers. Stay with us.
Guys, now there's no excuse. Peak Performance for Men has helped thousands of men overcome erectile dysfunction. The question is, what are you waiting for? Live the life you want today with a free consultation. No medication, no pumps, no needles, no pain, no surgery, and absolutely no downtime. Just non-invasive acoustic wave that will have you back to your natural form. That's right. Now, for a limited time, a free consultation. There is no risk. Fix it for good with one phone call. Call the Columbia office today at 803-302-8181 or find them at peakperformanceformen.com. Why wait? Enjoy your life to the fullest. Peak can make the difference. Call 803-302-8181 and get your free consultation now. That's 803-302-8181. Peak Performance.
A divorce can cause strife and cost you more than it should. That's why you need the experienced counsel of Masella Law to guide you and protect what you value most. With 5 years of experience, Masella Law has a proven track record of success in family law, criminal defense, and more. With countless cases won or competently settled, we are confident in our ability to fight on your behalf. Call Masella Law for exceptional representation at 748-9990.
748-9990. Give a call or just log on MasellaLaw.com.
It's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword $, to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text info. Standard data and message rate apply in the nationwide contest. That's $, to 200-200.
Now the forecast from the Red Shirt Guys Roofing. TheRedShirtGuys.com.
On the cool side today, although lots of sunshine makes it look okay, and that's kind of the standard for the weekend as temps stay in the 50s and 60s. For ABC Columbia, Channel 25, I'm Tyler Ryan.
This report is sponsored by Mucinex 12-Hour. Did you know that doctors use Mucinex? That's right. Mucinex is the #1 OTC brand doctors trust for themselves and their families. So with cold and flu season upon us, why would you use anything else? Grab Mucinex and put yourself back in control. Available at CVS.
This year marks the 60th anniversary of one of our state's real jewels, the Federation Center of the Blind, which is affiliated with the National Federation of the Blind of South Carolina. The center provides such key services as virtual and in-house computer training, job coaching, braille instruction, and much more. We invite you to join us by calling 803-254-3777 or by emailing nfbsc@sc.rr.com.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans. When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. When I grow up, I want to be a glass countertop in a new home. When I grow up, I want to be a kid's best birthday present. When I grow up, I want to be a football stadium. When I grow up, I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day. When I grow up, I want to be a fancy backsplash. I want to be a bike that races around the country. When I grow up, I want to be a bench on a forest trail. I want to be a rocking chair on a sunny porch. I want to be a skyscraper. I want to be When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. A public service advertisement brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Broadcasting from the TrueCar.com studios. This is Columbia's Fox Sports Radio, 1400.
It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on a Friday afternoon. So my cousin Richie, who some of you might know, Richie Swan, he's a Clemson grad. He lives down in Charleston, originally from Georgetown. You might know the guy. I mean, if you kind of, I'll be honest, you know, he kind of favors. It's kind of strange. Leonardo DiCaprio, dude, he dressed up. If he dresses up like Leonardo DiCaprio, like if that's his Halloween outfit, you can't tell come here from Sikkim. I mean, it's weird. But Richie chimes into the program. May have to make him an executive producer of the show if he keeps this up. You know, I was talking about before the break the matchups and Clemson obviously with Wake Forest, but then what else has to happen along the way given those other games that are on the docket. Of course, Wake Forest would have to wrap up their season with a loss against Boston College. And then, of course, North Carolina State has to lose one of two, either to Syracuse or North Carolina. Here's how ESPN's matchup predictor has it. So, again, if Clemson beats Wake Forest, which they are a 69.1% favorite in the FPI, ESPN's FPI, giving Wake Forest just 30.9% chance to win the game tomorrow. Heavily favoring Clemson. It is a slightly closer matchup the following week for Wake Forest against Boston College. So again, Clemson at 69. I'll round this to make it easy. Clemson at 69%. Wake Forest at 31. In that game for Wake Forest the following week, they are against Boston College. They are at 62% versus 38. So slightly closer than this Clemson-Wake game, according to ESPN's predictor. Now, that's one of the two things that has to happen. The other thing is NC State has to lose one of their final two ball games. Now, the Wolfpack against Syracuse this weekend, heavy favorites. Like 87% to 13%. Not great. It would take a lot for NC State to lose this weekend against Syracuse. But next weekend might be the opportunity. And again, it's still tight. It's almost the exact same as Clemson and Clemson and Wake Forest this week. Again, Clemson and Wake Forest at 69.1% technically. NC State in the FPI matchup predictor, 69.2. Actually slightly better against UNC than Clemson against Wake Forest, if you can believe that. So Clemson's got to have a lot of luck, that's for sure. But maybe the more surprising thing is, like, if you buy into all these numbers and everything, then you should feel pretty good about Clemson's chances on Saturday. I mean, honestly, if you feel really good about, like, when you hear that and you go, man, there's no way NC State's going to win, or excuse me, there's no way NC State's going to lose. then you probably ought to feel pretty good about Clemson's chances, quite frankly. Because the Clemson's numbers are essentially the same. I mean, Clemson's percentage or percent chances are essentially the same over Wake Forest as NC State's are over North Carolina. Now, there's also this other part of me that feels pretty good, like North Carolina's got a great chance in that ball game too. So 6 1, half dozen the other, I guess, because I kind of feel the same way about Wake Forest. But if you buy into ESPN's FBI predictor, the odds that the other two things you need to happen after Clemson wins on Saturday, if the FPI is accurate, is going to be incredibly difficult. And appreciate my cousin Richie for hitting us up with that one. 803-450-0086 text line, phone line. Again, be a part of the program anytime, any place, anywhere. And, I think the other thing, too, we haven't even really discussed about this game is how does DJ Uiagalelei look? I mean, I know part of Clemson's success and failures will come along with, being on DJ's back. But when you take into account the injury and how he was banged up, how effective or ineffective is he on Saturday or tomorrow? I mean, I think that's something you got to ask yourself at this point. 803-450-0086. Let us know what you would think. What do you expect to see out of DJ on Saturday? I mean, because I think in all honesty, like if DJ is healthy and if DJ plays well, then look, it's a different story, in just what this team can be. And if he plays confident, and that might be where, Clemson just has to sort of cut loose a little bit in this game. And I think, who were we talking to the other day? And somebody said to me, you just got to let DJ play ball. And, maybe that's the case. Just let DJ go. Just let him play ball and see how he does. Because, I mean, at this point, you've put so much pressure on success at Clemson. You put so much on DJ's back, and rightfully so. But even after the loss in the opener, it mounted more. Then after the struggles offensively, it mounted more. Like, if I'm Tony Elliott, I'm saying, listen, DJ, dude, let's just go have fun and play ball. Don't even just play the game. If you throw a pick, man, brush it off. I think it's Coach Mike Krzyzewski that has this saying. He talks about the next play. And Dabo Swinney always talks about a windshield mentality. DJ's got to play with a laser-locked windshield mentality and just say, you know what? We're going to go out here and have fun. We're going to play this game. And we're going to compete against the top 10 team in the country and just get back to what it felt like a year ago at Notre Dame for him. Just have fun. Like, if you're going to be this West Coast laissez-faire, laid-back dude, then you best be it for 60 minutes on Saturday on the gridiron taking on Wake Forest. Because you really have nothing to lose at this point. Even if you win, you may not get into the ACC championship game. So play like your hair's on fire. Nothing to worry about. Just get after it.
We're celebrating Thanksgiving this month, and you know what I'm thankful for? Zero Res. It's the only company I trust to give my home the best and most effective clean. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 when you mention this station. Schedule online at ZeroResColumbia.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2072. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today and call 800-575-2072. That's 800-575-2072. Or you can visit us online at tra.com.
It's the holiday season, and that is the worst time for a plumbing issue. If something does come up, then you need to know my friends at On Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Like their name implies, they're on call. Plus, they'll always send you a trained technician, not a trained salesperson. OnCallSC.com or call 781-HELP.
On Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Pick up the phone and we'll be right there. Call 781-HELP.
I'm Sam Rappaport, host of Earnin' It, a new podcast about women who are breaking the NFL's glass ceilings.
I went to Darcy and said, look, I'd like to hire 2 coaches who happen to be female.
This story will be told by NFL head coaches, owners, and of course, the women themselves. I even go in with Commissioner Roger Goodell.
I didn't curse once, did I?
Listen to Earnin' It, the NFL's forward progress on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to. Nope. I'm sure you've got a perfectly good excuse. Kids, work. I get it. You're busy. So what better time than now? Let's begin. Raise one finger if you're a man. Ladies, none yet. Oh, count in your head if you're driving. Now, 3 more fingers for everyone over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. 1 more if you're not physically active. Another finger if anyone in your family has type 2 diabetes. Another if you've got high blood pressure. If you're overweight, raise another finger. 2 if you're very overweight. And 3 if you're really overweight. You've just taken the world's first audio prediabetes test. And if you're holding up 5 or more fingers, visit doihaveprediabetes.org or talk to your doctor. There's no excuse because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Jason Alexander for the Will Rogers Institute.
Everyone thinks they know about asthma, but did you know that over 15 million people in our country suffer from the disease? Or that it causes more hospital visits, lost work days, and school absences than any other chronic illness? That its symptoms, shortness of breath, tightness in your chest, and a persistent cough or wheezing can be signs of real danger.
For your free booklet, visit wrinstitute.org or call toll-free 877-957-7575. And find us on Facebook and Twitter.
$1,000 in your hand.
Yes!
Win $1,000 every hour. At least 12 chances every weekday.
Oh my God!
$1,000 in your hand on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Final segment, now we're number 1 of the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk coming up in hour 2. Former Clemson Tiger head coach Tommy Bowden joins the show. You can always hit us up, though, 803-450-0086. That is a text line. That is a phone line, and we always appreciate you just hanging out with us. If you've never been to our website, go over there right now, 803-450-0086. There you go. Go to can't even. It's a Friday. Go to the website, put the .com on it, doggone it. ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Check it out. We'd love to have you subscribe. Just $63.17 for 1 year of coverage. That's right. I said it, Gamecock Nation. $63.17. I was talking yesterday about venues you've been to see teams play, and of course, where Clemson was not involved. John in Archdale said he went to see Eastern Michigan play at Army in West Point the day after Clemson lost to Syracuse. What was that, back in 2017? I think 2017, because that was the Kelly Bryant year, right? Yeah, I told you yesterday, I can't think of too many that I've ever been to, but I'd love to hear from more of you on that, 803-450-0086. There you go, Swanee. That's the time to give out the text line. As for the Clemson Tiger men's basketball team, they were defeated today after a 16-point lead against St. Bonaventure. The Bonnies ranked number 22 in the country, so it would have been a substantial win for Clemson. It would have pushed them to 5-0 on the season. It would allow them to play in the championship game down at the Charleston Classic. Instead, the Bonnies storm back, and Clemson comes up just short. The Tigers took possession of the ball in the final seconds, down 3. The score was 68-65 with 19.8 seconds remaining. And I got to tell you, I don't think on my list of top final plays, this would be cracked up as one of those. I don't think it would come to that point. Really give St. Bonaventure credit defensively. They did a good job. And Nick Honor, I don't know if he wasn't thinking or what, but kind of tried to penetrate a little bit and then dribble back out. I don't know where the play went wrong, but he fired up a late 3 that was well short. Again, 68-65, the final score down in Charleston for your Clemson Tigers today on the gridiron as they faced off against St. Bonaventure. Again, the 22nd ranked Bonnie, 68-65, the victory there. So disappointing for Clemson, no doubt, given the fact that, they led this game again by 16 points and squandered it. And they were playing good basketball. They played great basketball yesterday. But then that final possession, not what you're looking for. And I've talked about the height and smaller guards. And right there in that final moment earlier today, couldn't get the shot up. Couldn't get the JOBDONE, get the job done. And the length defensively was a problem, but really just that whole final play. It felt like Clemson's football offense. It was discombobulated. There you go. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Excuse me. I didn't get a chance to get to this text, but Tiger Chuck hit us up and says, Swanee, moving screen after moving screen after moving screen. These referees are killing us, and yesterday, Tiger Chuck, as you were aware, man, the offense was really sharp, and Clemson was really sharp early in this game. But then in the latter stages, St. Bonaventure just comes storming back. So frustrating. There's no doubt about that. I know that Clemson Tiger fans are short on what's the right word here? Short on patience with this program. There's no doubt about that. And I hate that this game went the way it did, but that's the way, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And for this Clemson Tiger basketball team, they don't have much, what's the right word here? There's not much leeway. I think is the fair way to put it. There's just not much leeway in the mind's eye of the faithful or lack thereof. And when you're up big and then come up short, that stretches the frustration level higher for a lot of people because, quite frankly, you've had season after season after season of something like that. And again, it's very early, but when you're up 16 and you crumble late like they did, it just leaves a terrible taste in your mouth. Like people, I think some people would almost prefer to just get beat out of the gates than anything else, than to be up big and to falter. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Don't forget to share the show. If you get a minute, we'd love to have you share the program. Let's see what we've got going on here. Steven says, Swanee, Clemson needs to bring their A game tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, no doubt about that. By the way, get your predictions in as well. We'll try to get some of those in hour number 2 of the program. Coming up, Tommy Bowden set to join the show, so make sure you stay with us for that. And again, we got the simulation rocking and rolling as well. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Matthew, no faith. He says Wake 33-13, says DJ gets sacked 8 to 10 times. By the way, we also had a Georgia fan listening to the show yesterday maybe the day before. Can't remember. Wanted to know my thoughts on his Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide. I don't think it really matters. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't think it matters one iota. And I think win, lose, or draw, man, you're in the playoffs as long as you don't lose before that SEC championship game. Now, if you want to know my opinion on whether or not you win that game, yeah, I think so. I think Georgia probably wins that game. The problem I think Georgia has is what's happened recently against Alabama, and that is, faltering and coming up short in those games. I think perhaps the memories of what's happened recently against Alabama will play more against Georgia than anything else. Hour 2, Tommy Bowden joins us next.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on Broad River at I-20, also an accident, Platte Springs at Emmanuel Church. If you're stuck, use the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line, 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program. At the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program, they cover more federal employees, retirees, and their families than any other health plan. Now it's time to see what they can do for you. Learn more about healthy benefits at fepblue.org/wecan.
The world is upside down and millions of Americans are out of work. Debt keeps rising, and yet taxes and interest rates are at historically low levels. What's going to happen next? Oh, I don't know. Space monkeys could arrive. Times like these, it is important to do your homework and be prepared, especially if you're near retirement. Hi, it's Glenn Beck. This is not the time to go it alone and hope for the best. I want you to call Pat Struby today and find out what he can do for you right now. Do what other families just like yours have done for over 20 years. Call the team at Preservation Specialist. Call 803-9-RETIRE and schedule a complimentary phone or video consultation. Pat Struby and his team at Preservation Specialist are local and independent. Their focus is you and your retirement. So call 803-9-RETIRE. Schedule a complimentary consultation and be prepared for your retirement years. 803-9-RETIRE.
Glenn Beck has been remunerated and is not a client. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital Inc. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Lawton Swan here. And I know in sports, we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
Imagine if I told you that an earthquake was going to hit tomorrow right where you live. That it would be 6.5 in magnitude with aftershocks occurring twice 25 minutes apart. You'd no doubt talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you an earthquake will happen tomorrow, but what if it does? Shouldn't you have a plan? Visit scemd.org and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait, communicate. Brought to you by the South Carolina Emergency Management Division, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
WCOS Columbia, Fox Sports Radio 1400, an iHeart radio station available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set. Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on a Friday afternoon ahead of Clemson and Wake Forest facing off inside Death Valley. Former Clemson Tiger head coach Tommy Bowden joins the program as he always does to give us the inside scoop on not only peeking behind the curtain of being a head coach collegiately at Clemson, but also the upcoming matchup. Clemson, amazingly, coach, not out of the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship game just yet. They'll need some help, but it all starts on Saturday at noon against Wake Forest, a team with Dave Clawson, who we talked about last week, the job that he's done there. The thing that's kind of come up over the past, 5-6 days as Clemson gets ready for this game is the mesh point and how that offense runs so smoothly with Sam Hartman at quarterback, really sort of putting, I guess, the defense in a bit of a conflict.
Oh, tremendous. It's a great concept because the quarterback's in the shotgun anyway. The back's behind him. As soon as the quarterback receives the ball, he extends it backward and seats the ball in the running back's belly and rides it 2 to 3 yards and just puts the line. What's the linebacker do? If he attacks, then you throw slants or inside cuts behind him. If he stays back, then you hand it off. You got a really, really soft middle. It's a great concept, and it even involves the play of the safeties. A lot of times you got to get that safety involved as the 8th man so you can outnumber the offense as far as blockers. Then you start throwing deep posts behind him. So a tremendous concept. And the one thing in Clemson's favor, and this is where I think will be differences of game, that's a great concept until you start getting penetration up front. And Clemson has the front Brent Venable style is to create a new line of scrimmage in the backfield. And I think that'll be the difference in the game.
When you think about it from the standpoint of their offensive linemen, I mean, how difficult is it for them to not get a lineman downfield called on them if Hartman pulls the ball and ends up throwing it?
Well, a lot of that blocking style is something we used to call an ooze block. You just kind of ooze up on them and cover them, and the defensive lineman kind of loses. He doesn't know what to do. Does he rush around and rush the passer, or does he wait for the ball to be handed off and kind of play it laterally at the line of scrimmage? So what those offensive linemen will do is they will not come out real forceful. They'll just kind of lock up and ooze, what I call an ooze block. If you can just imagine an offensive lineman just kind of leaning on you and covering you up. He'll cover you up, then let the back make your block be right. And then that mesh point then can put the pressure on the offensive line, on the linebackers and safety. So it doesn't really put a lot of pressure on the offensive lineman. Now, all of their blocking schemes may not be like that, but some of them are. They just don't have to come off as hard. Therefore, they're allowed a little more flexibility in being wrong in blocking as far as being too aggressive. Like you fire off the line as an offensive lineman.
Tommy Bowden with us here on a Friday afternoon, getting set for Clemson and Wake Forest tomorrow at noon. Coach, when you look back and say a guy like Woodrow Dantzler, was that, and I just can't remember. I was watching the games, but I hadn't gone back and watched the film. But was that mesh point kind of riding the running backs and having the RPO style? I mean, was that something that was already being utilized at that point for you guys, or was that something that was still sort of coming to fruition in college football?
No, this is totally different. It is, back then, the running back would be parallel to the quarterback, and you really wouldn't ride it back then. You would just kind of read the quarterback's eyes would go on the backside end, and as the running back went from left to right, if the defensive end closed, he pulled it. If he stayed upfield, he handed it off. It's pretty simple and a quick read. This is a lot more intense as far as the running back, instead of being parallel to the quarterback, is behind the quarterback, and he rides it up into the line of scrimmage. Just a totally different concept between what initially started out of the old RPOs, where it was a parallel to the quarterback, and they went east-west as opposed to north-south. Just really puts tremendous stress on the defense.
Now, as a coach, as a former coach, and obviously a guy that's been around coaching your whole life, when you see new concepts and things like this sort of come to fruition, do you ever think back and go, man, if we could have run that might have been, the ticket to some additional success, at certain points in your career? I mean, so for example, if I was I don't know, like if I'm a chemist, right? And somebody comes up with a new chemical formula and I go, man, that's something. Why didn't I think of that? Like, is that something you see when these offenses sort of transition and you think about all the days that you spent watching film and drawing up plays and go, man, how come we didn't think of that one?
Well, earlier when I was at Clemson, Florida State had the best players by far. They were like Clemson now. There was huge separation between number one and whoever was fighting for number two in a talent standpoint. Therefore, when I went to Tulane in my first years at Clemson, because we didn't have the talent as a Florida State at that particular time, there was more trickery, deceit, and deception, which is kind of what this offense is. Really it's different and it's unique. Now Clemson don't need trickery and deceit and deception now. So if I were at Clemson back and when I first came, this would have been a great offense. It's a great equalizer from a talent standpoint. But I think when your talent is better, then you don't have to depend on these type of things to trick people and to be more deceptive than like Clemson doesn't have to do that now.
Coach Tommy Bowden with us here on the program. So Sam Hartman is a guy that Dabo Swinney has compared to James Skalski, just has seen everything you can throw at him. Based on what you've seen from him this season, I mean, this Wake Forest offense is high scoring. There's no doubt about that. How much will that help him, you think, in this situation where there's a lot on the line for Wake Forest? I expect the Clemson crowd to be excited about this ball game. And obviously, this Clemson team is protecting a 33-game winning streak. So you got to imagine these seniors and everybody else is going to want to pour it out there to protect the streak that currently exists as well.
Yeah, the only thing where he's not going to have experience at is going to be pulling the ball quicker because of penetration by Clemson's defense. You get into a rhythm from a quarterback standpoint on riding that back, riding a yard or a yard and a half past the mesh point parallel to you. And all of a sudden, you play BC, you play North Carolina, you play NC State, and you have a normal routine and timing standpoint. Clemson's going to present an issue regardless of how much experience he has. He's not going to have the experience of dealing with the depth of the penetration that Clemson is going to be able to incur. So I think that's going to be the difficult. Yeah, he does have great experience against normal talent. This is not normal talent what Clemson can present, the problems they present on defense. So that's where I think is tremendous advantage for Clemson.
Coach, offensively, the Tigers still have not felt great, and they've got left and right. Dabo Swinney even kind of joked this week that you could take the guys that are injured at Clemson right now and make a pretty good offense if you let Will Taylor be quarterback, who's currently playing wideout for them. But, just thinking about how it's been this whole year, now you're at game 11. I think when we came 3-4 weeks into the season and Clemson was still struggling, you click. And I get it. The defense has got to play well in this ball game, but does the offense have to produce a big victory for this team?
It depends on how well the defense plays. They have not shown that ability in the past to be a 52-48, a 47-45, maybe even a 42-38. Clemson has not shown the ability. We've talked about it every week. It's been really, really difficult to put your finger on what is the problem because it seems to be several things have been a factor. from week to week. So I think there's been tremendous stress and burden put on Clemson's defense and Brent Venables this year. This might probably be the most put all year up until Pitt. In Pitt, they didn't fare well because they couldn't score the point. So, this will be one. Clemson's offense, unfortunately, Lawton, and we talked about it, they haven't been productive. We're at the end of the year. It looks like an issue that's going to have to be addressed through health or experience or getting some of the young talent experience, and that's going to take another spring. So this game will depend on how well Clemson defense can play, because I don't know, based on what you and I have seen for the last 10 weeks, whether offense can generate enough points.
Tommy Bowden here on the show today talking about this matchup between Clemson and Wake Forest. One thing I suggested, and I don't know, look, I'm still undefeated, coach, I will say, as a head coach in college football, but I'm also winless. So there's that. But I suggested, what if Clemson went with a little Wildcat package this weekend, perhaps, with Will Shipley taking the snap and having Kobe Pace or Phil Maffa off to his side and try to utilize having maybe an extra hat in the box to generate some yards on the ground. Wake Forest gave, I think, I don't have the exact number in front of me right now, 400, 500 yards rushing, I think, the Army earlier this year. Why not try to hit them like that?
It would be a good change-up. I don't think they could do that on a consistent diet, because Clemson's Wake Forest personnel on defense is not nearly, like you say, as strong as Clemson's and some other teams in the ACC. But when you put Will, you eliminate 100% of the passing game. It's a lot easier to develop tendencies and defend. But a change-up of that, and they've shown a weakness in the running game, which could possibly be helpful. But it is 100% run anytime you do that.
Yeah, just pulled the number, 416 yards rushing by Army against Wake Forest earlier this season in a 70-56 matchup, if you can believe that. Just a few more minutes here with Coach Bowden. So, Coach, what would you do? I mean, if you were in this situation, if you're Dabo Swinney, you know the offense has been struggling. You got DJ's kind of banged up. I mean, what's your game plan heading into this matchup against the Demon Deacons?
I think, and I'm like I say, they've done such a good job, him and Tony Elliott and that offense, but I think they're going to have to be as reckless as possible offensively. We did that one time. We played Florida State after I'd lost to Wake, and Florida State was third in the nation. We had to beat them. We went to some old reels and reels of trick plays I'd accumulated over 20 years and highlighted about 7 of them that we thought could be productive. But I think they've really got to take everything that they have in their repertoire of trick plays and get about 5 or 7 of them they think are really, really good, really be able to execute them and really just throw everything you've got 100 miles an hour every snap. And I'm sure they'll probably do that. I don't think it's a game where they can play defense and field position. Let's see how good the defense is playing and all that. They're going to really have to come out slinging it. Any kind of trick plays or trickery, deceit, and deception, I think they're going to can't do too much of it, but I think they're going to have more than normal to generate some offense, simply because they haven't been able to generate it any other way.
It's safe to say this is the first time probably in a while where Dabo Swinney and this team feel like they don't have anything to lose, right? Like in some respects, I mean, in most games over the years, they've either just outmanned the team or whatever. But now, I mean, their backs are against the wall. If they lose this game, they can't get to the ACC championship. And even if they win it, like we said earlier, they still need help. So I tend to agree with you. Like, this is where you let your hair down, so to speak, and just say, hey, boys, let's go out and play football. Let's have some fun.
Exactly. And like I said, there's nothing to lose. There's no sense in holding anything back, and to be in as much trickery, deceit, and deception as possible, and that you can feel like you can execute and it will be effective. But they really need to take a large number, abnormal number than the normal allotment that they would normally have in a game. But I do think they need to have that prepared on Saturday because of the capability of Wake Forest's offense. So there's nothing to lose. Let everything out and play like you're behind from the opening kickoff, as opposed to when you really get behind when it's expected.
Final couple of minutes here with Tommy Bowden, former Clemson Tiger head coach. It's also for those seniors at Clemson, their final game in Death Valley. I know through the years that game was traditionally played in the final home game, except for eventually at some point. I don't know if it was when you were there or under Dabo Swinney, it got moved to the game before the South Carolina game because people wanted to take some of the, I guess, some of the pressure of that moment for those guys off of that game. Ironically, this game has a tremendous amount of significance. You've coached in a lot of final, senior games where this the last time those guys will run down the hill and experience that in Death Valley. I mean, what is that game like, not only for you as a coach, but also for those seniors?
Well, it's great for those seniors that are actually going to play in the game. Unfortunately, in moments like that, there's a lot of emotion for those seniors before the game. Unfortunately, when they kick the ball off, those things disappear, when the game actually starts. And but Dabo in the past has really proven to be effective when he's out to prove something. Clemson's out to prove something. We've lost a little bit of our steam, our recognition, and being a national player. They've lost a little bit this week, and he's best. Like when he got the job, having no coordinated experience, he was out to prove the coaching profession people wrong that he was could handle this job, and he's kind of in this situation now from a winning standpoint. So he's best at motivating the team in this circumstances. But I don't think the fact that it'll be senior day. I think the fact that Wake Forest is 13th in the nation and Clemson is unranked. But to show you the respect, Clemson's favorite in the game. So
yeah,
it's kind of an unusual situation.
That's the strange thing, is to see a top 10 team coming to Death Valley and yet Clemson's favored. Like, those things just don't make sense. Coach, always appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I know next weekend or next week is Thanksgiving. We'll hope to either record with you on Tuesday or maybe even get up with you on Friday if you're available. But I hope you and your family have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday nonetheless.
Hey, same to you. Should be a great game Saturday.
Tommy Bowden, again, 803-450-0086. We've also got the simulation rolling. If you're watching, be a part of the show anytime, any place, anywhere, 803-450-0086. Again, Wake Forest 70, Army 56 earlier this year, and the Demon Deacons gave up 416 yards rushing. What's crazy about it is the number of guys that got carries. Like that it's one thing to get 416 yards. It's another thing to only have 2 or 3 guys doing the work. The Army Black Knights in that game had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players carry the football that day. 12. Only one player eclipsed 100 yards rushing, and 2 others got to 98 and 93 in that game. Again, the Demon Deacons may be vulnerable on the ground. How much will Shipley / combo with Phil Maffa or Kobe Pace do you see? I think, like like Tommy Bowden said, you can probably do it in sparingly, but I would not be against doing it for a large or a significant amount of plays in a row. Like that's the thing for me. I would not be afraid to just run 7, 8, 10 times in a row. What I really don't want to see is a situation where Clemson comes out and on 3rd down, you bring that play in for 1 snap, and then 10, 11 plays later, you do the same thing. Just a snap or 2. Like, I want to legitimately see Clemson go all in on it and make Wake defend it for a series. Like, that's the other thing, too. Make Wake Forest defend it for a series. Come out, first play, even if you go DJ 2 backs and then flank DJ out and snap the ball to Will Shipley to kind of keep them honest a little bit in their assessment and how they view it. I don't think that would be too bad either. 803-450-0086. We'll update you on the Clemson Tiger men's basketball game as they took on St. Bonaventure this afternoon. Stay with us here on the show that shakes the Southland.
It's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword green to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's green to 200-200.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic. Sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive. Home of the best tire prices in Columbia. Guaranteed.
Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on Broad River at I-20. Also an accident, Platt Springs at Emmanuel Church. If you're stuck, use the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Mucinex 12 Hour. Did you know that doctors use Mucinex? That's right. Mucinex is the #1 OTC brand doctors trust for themselves and their families. So with cold and flu season upon us, why would you use anything else? Grab Mucinex and put yourself back in control. Available at CVS.
Hey guys, Lawton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason a couple of years ago, and he said, "Dad, you're the best father ever." When I asked him why, he said, "Because when I go outside to play, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore." Imagine that, me, a hero, when all I did was call my good buddy Trey Powell at Mosquito Joe. With their routine service plan, no more bugs and no more bites. Make yourself the family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. That's 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again.
Looking for a rewarding career? Georgia Pacific is now hiring. Georgia Pacific, a leading manufacturing company specializing in wood products, is recruiting production operators and maintenance positions for all shifts. They offer wages starting at $18 plus per hour and great benefits, including comprehensive insurance, 401k, holiday pay, and more. Join the Georgia Pacific team today. Visit gp.com/careers and search Prosperity to apply. That's gp.com/careers.
Hey, Scott here from Traditions with great news. We're proud to announce the grand opening of our second store starting this Friday and Saturday at the Village at Sand Hills. To celebrate, we've got fantastic specials running this week and every week all the way to Christmas Eve. So if you're in the market for fine jewelry or collegiate apparel, you're going to want to come see us and save when you do. This week, we're making all short sleeve retro tees 30% off. And all $10 tees are now only $7. You can also select from a group of long sleeve tees for just $20, and all of our retro sweats are buy one, get the second for half price. Looking for jewelry? This week, get a 1-carat lab-grown solitaire ring for just $14.99, and get all Palmetto jewelry as well as sterling silver jewelry at 40% off. Specials are available at both locations, so hurry in this weekend and celebrate our newest location. That's Traditions Fine Jewelers in Lexington, and now at Sand Hills, where the Midlands get engaged.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay. Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Advocates.
Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Always appreciate Tommy Bowden joining the program. 803-450-0086. Simulation rocking and rolling along. On a Friday afternoon, again, Clemson Tiger basketball falls at the hands of St. Bonaventure. Frustrating, man. They were up by 16 earlier today, and come up short. That's the way it goes, though. Sometimes that is the way it goes. Sometimes. Let me see here. Taking a look at the Twitter sphere for a moment. Got a text message. There you go. I'll go to the text. You can text us to 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. Preston chimes into the program. He says, Swanee, did you just say that earlier? He said, did you just say the difference between come here and sick 'em? He said, essentially, I'm a lifelong country guy, and I've never heard of that. Yeah, I don't know where I got that old line from. Just sometime in my life, I guess I picked it up. Barnwell County, shout out. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Again, appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of the program as we rock and roll along with you on a Friday afternoon. Again, Clemson, Wake Forest, what a matchup. For Clemson, again, who would have thought that after you lost to Georgia, and this was the thing about Clemson's schedule, if you'll remember. Remember at the beginning of the season? It was, well, if Clemson beats Georgia, they're not going to get another opportunity along the way to sort of build their resume. They're not going to have another game to add on to what they've done. And if they lose, that was the other thing too, right? Like, remember, this was the other little caveat that came out at the beginning of the year. Well, if Clemson loses to Georgia, they're not going to get another opportunity to prove themselves against a top 10 team. Well, lo and behold, had that been the case, if that had been their only loss, Clemson would be coming into this game probably ranked. I don't know. We discussed this the other week, right? Like if Clemson doesn't lose to NC State or doesn't lose to Pittsburgh and their only losses in the opener to Georgia, the clear-cut number one team in the country, maybe the Tigers are number 2 or 3 right now with a matchup against the top 10 team in Wake Forest. So forget everything that you've kind of heard and thought of and talked about from that aspect, and recognize that, I mean, honestly, at this point, you're looking at a Clemson Tiger football team that in some way, shape, or form may have had a chance to prove themselves again worthy of being in the college football playoff. Quite frankly, I mean, that's kind of what you're looking at right now with this matchup with a top 10 Wake Forest team. The Tigers would have had an additional chance. And I don't think there's any question about it. 803-450-0086, text line, phone line. Again, be a part of the program anytime, any place, anywhere, and always appreciate you Clemson Tigers being a part of what we do each and every day here on the show. But kudos to Wake Forest. And, that's just what this league needed, honestly. I mean, in a year where Clemson, sadly, doesn't show up and isn't the team that you expected they would be, you've got this other team rising into the top 10. And, I don't know how the Demon Deacons would have been perceived had they navigated their way, to this point, and Clemson had been one of the top, couple of teams in the country and then still gotten beaten by the Tigers, like how they would they have dropped like a rock, or would they have continued to hang out at or near the top? Who knows? But I think the reality is, if you are Clemson and you're looking at it, you're thinking, man, what might have been for this league, a league that's been so criticized for so long, because it's been essentially Clemson and everybody else. Now, here's Wake Forest making a run, and the Tigers are really the team that's sort of missing on the outside and hoping to finish strong. But what could have been for this conference? It really has needed somebody else to stand up. And now, instead of having like this marquee matchup at the end of the year, kind of like you had a year ago, I guess technically with Notre Dame being in the league, but the fact that you've got this upstart in Wake Forest, who also, by the way, let's give them some credit, even if with a victory, would have a chance to solidify themselves previously. Now, instead, you've got Clemson just sort of hoping to hold on and maybe get a bid into the ACC championship game if they get a victory. And then if they are fortunate enough to have some things go their way in these other games that we talked about a little bit ago, again, next week, Wake Forest would, again, all of this predicated by Clemson having to win. Wake Forest would need to lose to Boston College, which certainly could happen with Phil Dracovic there. Now, if NC State loses this weekend against Syracuse, I mean, that's the only thing you got left to have happen, right? Like if Clemson wins this weekend and NC State somehow falters to Syracuse, then there's only one thing left to happen, and that's Wake Forest losing to Boston College. If NC State beats Syracuse this Saturday, then next weekend you got to have both North Carolina State lose to North Carolina and Boston College beat Wake Forest. Clemson, of course, is done with the ACC. They'll be playing South Carolina, the Gamecocks, over at Williams-Brice Stadium. And for South Carolina, again, bowl eligibility on the line. Do I think the Gamecocks can get the JOBDONE, Gamecock Nation, peeking over the fence, hanging out with us? I'll let you know what I think about South Carolina and Auburn when we get back. Stay with us.
Are you thinking about refinancing your home, but worried that closing costs could cancel out any money you would save? It could happen. In fact, average closing costs for a $300,000 home in South Carolina are over $2,000. Yikes! How's that going to save you money? Cap your costs with a zero closing cost mortgage from Cap Center, your local mortgage lender.
This is our 6th time using Cap Center. And once again, the quality of service and speed of processing was excellent, and the savings are substantial.
This was my 3rd refinance with Cap Center. I've been very satisfied. The entire process is simple, never any surprises, and zero closing costs means zero closing costs.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. This ad contains real client feedback voiced by actors. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
It's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword GREEN to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in the nationwide contest. That's GREEN to 200-200.
This is former Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by DuckDuckGo.
It was another typical Mac Jones game in the Patriot shutout win over Atlanta. He's always under control, never overwhelmed, plays to his IQ and accuracy. The Patriots are winning with him, not because of him or in spite of him. Mac just gets out of the way and lets his guys make plays. Belichick's famous motto is, do your job, and Mac does his perfectly. I'm Colin Cowherd.
What is it that makes you uniquely you? Well, DuckDuckGo doesn't think that's any of their business. And frankly, it shouldn't be the business of any tech company. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo.
True crime podcast fans, iHeart has your next obsession. Discover the new podcast, Crazy in Love.
She wouldn't take no for an answer.
Falling in love is the best feeling in the world. You see stars, you feel giddy, but sometimes it makes us do crazy things. Listen to stories about what happens when true crime meets true love.
You're pathetic.
Open the free iHeart app and search Crazy in Love to start your true crime binge today. iHeart. Discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
iHeartRadio. Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a
Taxi!
233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
It's time to show your online assistant where you go for a good time. Okay, Google, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeartRadio.
The show that shakes the Southland. Look, if you're watching the video on YouTube right now, go ahead and hit that subscribe. We're bringing the live video back soon enough. Don't worry. And, of course, we got the simulations for you on Friday and next week, even with Thanksgiving. Well, by the way, scheduling note here. We're Monday, Tuesday, and we're off Wednesday, Thursday, and we're back with you on Friday to preview Clemson and South Carolina. So make sure you are here with us. But hit that subscribe, ring that bell, ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, whatever you have to do, Facebook, Twitter, wherever, to make sure you know when we go live, because we're bringing the video back. These other shows won't know how to act. When Swanee comes into the room and back, you'll be ready because he's on the attack. Take it to the top? Yes, sir. That's what we're going to do. Take it to the top. The show that shakes the Southland. We still are looking to get to 700 subscribers before we punch through 1,000. We'd be there already. I'm buying in on that action. We'd be at 1,000 if we were still rolling live with the video, but we had to get ourselves a delay. And that is something iHeart is not going to play around with. Believe me, they're not. So because of that, the video wasn't going to match up with the audio. So we just keep the video down and we keep rolling along with you. But on Fridays, we can pump up not only the volume, but pump up the simulation where Clemson was dominating early, 21-0. Woohoo! How about that action, boss? How about those Tigers out of the gate, rocking and rolling against Wake Forest in the sim? What if Clemson goes and snatches that crown right back, or at least has that back, that crown, the opportunity to keep that crown on their heads against the Wolfpack. Matter of fact, Clemson eventually got up 28-7 in the simulation. How about the video? Did you see that? We'll wrap it up. We'll wrap up the show with the video. So I'm going to go ahead and tease that now. Dude, the James Skalski video. Hoo-hoo. I think I played that already here on the show. I know I played it for my wife about 7 times and my kids. I feel like I played it on the show. We're going to hear that one again, though, because that's a good one. I mean, that's a classic. That's classic enough that it's almost good enough to replace the We Win one, which Clemson hasn't won as much this year. My sister said maybe I should consider replacing the We Win one. Hey. Pump your brakes. Pump your brakes, sister. 803-450-0086, text line and phone line. South Carolina and Auburn. A chance for bowl eligibility for the South Carolina Gamecocks back on the line a week after their incredibly disappointing performance on the road against Missouri. Now, look, I know that South Carolina fought back in that ball game late. But, dude, they were down 17 points. I mean, come on, man. And the Gamecocks, honestly, in the SEC, outside of a couple of games, have just been pummeled this year. 40-13, they were beaten by Georgia. 45-20 and dominated. 28-0 out of the gates against Tennessee. They have 15 rushing yards in the third quarter against A&M. 44-14, the final score there. They did beat Florida. Give them credit. They played close against Kentucky and barely got by Vanderbilt, 21-20. Lost to Missouri, but we're down big in that game. And then, again, that victory over Florida is significant. 7 o'clock tomorrow against Auburn. However, I think it's going to be some tough sledding again for the South Carolina Gamecocks, simply because of the fact that I think Auburn's defense is just going to be too much. I don't think Auburn's offense is going to be outstanding. Certainly, Bo Nix's injury adds something to that. Mike Bobo, however, the former offensive coordinator at South Carolina, is now the offensive coordinator at Auburn, which has a little bit of a tie there. But with Nix breaking his ankle against Mississippi State last week, I mean, that does set Brian Harrison's Tigers back just a little bit. But I don't think it'll be enough to set them back to the point of where South Carolina gets a victory. I mean, the Gamecocks are already struggling offensively, and quite frankly, to imagine South Carolina mustering, 14 points or more against Auburn, to me, is incredibly difficult to imagine. I mean, if you look at, and again, this is not a quote-unquote elite level Auburn defense either. However, this is still an Auburn team that up until a couple of weeks ago was in a position to have like a three-way tiebreaker workout to the point where they could slide in to the SEC championship game. They did. They compete very well on the road at Penn State early this season. They beat LSU. They beat Arkansas. They beat Ole Miss. I think most concerning at this point for the Tigers with Finley stepping in is, can they protect the football, not turn it over, and allow South Carolina to stick in the ballgame? The Gamecock strength at least is this, right, for South Carolina fans. The strength of that Gamecock team at this point is that defensive front. And so when you got a quarterback getting his first real opportunities and having to have the team be on his back, man, that's not easy. The good news is South Carolina has not been good against the rush. Finley was, of course, the quarterback at LSU at times last season, so he's got experience. But I think this probably comes down to that South Carolina defensive front, how they play. And then ultimately, can South Carolina score enough points? Win the turnover battle and score enough points? If not, look, it's a no-brainer. It's a done deal. South Carolina gets beat by 20 or more points. But if they can win the turnover battle and slow this Auburn offense, especially on the ground, then maybe they can make it competitive. I just don't think they've got that in their wheelhouse. I think they have a better chance of making the game against Clemson a week from now competitive because of all the struggles that the Tigers have had offensively. Now, that may change depending on how Clemson plays against Wake, in my opinion. But at this point, I think South Carolina plays I think South Carolina plays Clemson better than they play Auburn tomorrow in Williams-Brice Stadium. Stay with us. Predictions next.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. Aggressive driving, such as speeding, rapid acceleration, and hard braking, can lower your highway fuel economy by up to 40% and cost you up to $1.27 more per gallon in gasoline. Save money and reduce your transportation emissions by avoiding aggressive driving. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
When a physician you trust moves on, it's deflating. When that physician returns, it's worth celebrating. Welcome home, Dr. Paul Espinoza of Espinoza Vein Institute. Yes, Dr. Espinoza is back in Lexington, caring for patients, former and new. As a trusted, respected, certified vein specialist, he offers personalized, compassionate treatment in a private practice that feels like home. Espinoza Vein Institute. Healthy legs, a step away.
If you're tired of big cable bills and want to cut the cord, you can still get Newsmax TV for free. Millions of Americans like you are watching Newsmax. It's available on all major cable systems, or get it free on major streaming platforms. Watch Newsmax on smart TVs like Samsung, LG, Vizio, and more. Find Newsmax on your hub guide or use the TV app. Newsmax also streams free on Roku, Xumo, Pluto, Amazon Fire, TiVo, Apple TV, Chromecast, and more. More than 7 million people have downloaded the free Newsmax app on their smartphones. There's no paywall or subscription, so watch Newsmax anytime, anywhere. Forbes calls Newsmax a news powerhouse. And watch great shows with Mike Huckabee, Greg Kelly, Rob Schmidt, Diamond and Silk, Stinchfield, and a lot more. Find out why America is tuning in to Newsmax TV, the fastest growing cable news channel. It's a source you can trust. Newsmax is real news for real people.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating, 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today, 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Way back when, Colombia was a vast dining desert, a wasteland for fast, fresh, authentic Southwestern food. Weren't nothing bundled up nice and warm in a tortilla. Colombia needed Diablos. Southwestern the way you want it. The real deal, with no shortcuts in quality and served up as fast and fresh as you want it. Diablo Southwest Grill. Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. DiabloSouthwestGrill.com.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
$1,000 in your hand.
Yes!
Win $1,000 every hour. At least 12 chances every weekday.
Oh my God!
$1,000 in your hand on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment of the show here on a Friday afternoon. We'll give you our prediction on the ball game. And also, before we do that, the audio there that we played before the break came from an old Clemson football, one of the early videos that they put together on social media, to kind of a hype video, I guess you would call it. Well, yesterday, and I promise you, I can't remember if we played this for you or not, because I did play it a lot for my wife and my kids. I even watched it a couple of times. But yesterday, Clemson put out a video narrated by James Skalski. And again, it's part of the reason we call this the King's Crown edition of the show, because Skalski talked about wanting what Clemson had, and essentially you got to come and get it. Here, let me roll that for you on the show that shakes the Southland. Again, don't forget, subscribe right now. Go to our YouTube channel, Clemson. It's easy, tinyurl.com/Clemson Sports TV, or just go to YouTube and search for Clemson Sports. You'll find us right there, and hit that subscribe button. Run us up to 1,000 subscribers. Let's do it. But here's the video that Clemson put out, at least the audio that Clemson put out, and man, is it awesome.
The outside world likes to cast their emotions on this program. We've seen love, envy, disbelief, but disrespect, that's a new one. We've lived our whole lives with something to prove. This weight on our backs, we all bear. This chip on our shoulder, we all wear. Together, that makes us stronger. Together in the valley, that makes us dangerous.
Your will versus their will. Impose your will on the opponent.
Backs against the wall, but that wall is backed by 80,000. These are the moments that Clemson is built for. Something to prove, everything to lose, and nothing held back. And to those who want what's ours, come and take it.
And to those who want what's ours, come and take it. Woohoo! Oh, man. How about Skalski? Final ride in Death Valley, looking for 34 consecutive wins. I mean, this would be a huge one. This would absolutely be a huge one. And I think the all-time home winning streak mark is 58 games. Not at Clemson. I mean, all-time in the history of college football. So this would be a huge step in the right direction to keep that streak potentially alive. And I think, look, I talked about the Wildcat yesterday. I'm going to stand firm by that. I brought it up today talking with Tommy Bowden, and I agree. I don't think it can be the only offense you run, but I think it needs to be part of the offense that you run. And I think that would allow this Clemson Tiger team to take advantage of some of the Wake Forest deficiencies on the ground. Now, defensively, I think you kind of like in the South Carolina scenario with Auburn. I think whoever wins the turnover battle is certainly going to be a big deal. I think if Clemson can get a couple of picks on Sam Hartman, that would be significant, because he's played very well. Last weekend he had some poor throws against NC State, gave the Wolfpack opportunities. And Clemson, this is where if you're going to protect that crown and at least forced Wake Forest and NC State to go again to try to finally knock you out of the ACC championship game, you got to go out there and you got to make those types of plays. A.J. Terrell last night in the NFL had a huge interception. I mean, it wasn't huge in terms of the game, because the Atlanta got pushed around by the New England Patriots, but it was a huge pick. It was just a great pick. And it took me back to Clemson's pick six to open the national championship game, and how that pick six set the tenor for that game and what would it end up being just this domination by the Tigers. And you wonder, much like this season, if that pick six doesn't happen and that opening drive goes Alabama's way and they score, does Clemson win that game? does the way you set the table early can define how Thanksgiving's going to go. And so if that game starts differently for the national championship, if instead of a pick six, that's a Tua touchdown, who knows? Can Clemson recover? If the Tigers open up the season and you don't give up a pick six against against Georgia, and Justin Ross just crosses the face of the defender, as we said earlier this week, and Clemson gets a field goal, does Clemson win 6-3? And is this team undefeated at this point? I mean, is that the difference, the tenor in how the conversation starts and how the season begins? I don't think that's like impossible to imagine that is the case. And so when this game gets going tomorrow in Death Valley at noon, do you know how essential a quick pick six, a fumble return, blowing up a play in the backfield, making something happen for this offense, do you know how that could set the tenor of the day for this Clemson team? I mean, Wake Forest knows they got a lot of pressure on them. It's hard for me to pick the Tigers, but with their backs against the wall in the final home game for these seniors, with a 33-game home winning streak, I think Clemson makes a big play early. I think that sets the tenor. I'm taking Clemson to beat Wake Forest 27-20 on Saturday in Death Valley. Until Monday, as always, y'all take care now. And go
Clemson
Tigers.
Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports.